Hi, it's Kiffin Lobates here, and video 3 in a series on central bank digital currencies. So last video I talked about what the advantages for a central bank moving to a digital currency away from a physical currency would be. There is another advantage from the nation state point of view, namely that many nations keep cash reserves. They actually have vaults containing pallets of US dollars or euro notes sitting there being guarded, and the reason why they like doing that is the same reason that they like having some gold reserves. It's a physical thing that can't be taken away from them unless you actually invade and break into the vault. So it feels a lot more secure to a nation to have some money in reserve in a physical form rather than relying on having it in databases around the world, because databases can be altered. There's a possibility for fraud. Now, of course, there's also a possibility for fraud if you're keeping gold bars or euro notes or dollar notes in a vault, but you have more direct control over it as a nation. So a nation is going to be more interested in a central bank digital currency if they have a sense of real ownership of that currency. And that is, I think, why it is highly likely that if a central bank does switch to issuing a digital currency, they will eventually come to the conclusion that they should do so on a blockchain. Now, I don't think it's going to be a public open blockchain where you and I can go and run a miner and process transactions. It's going to be a private permissioned blockchain, but nevertheless, it's going to have some of the attributes of a blockchain in that it's going to give owners of that currency real ownership in some sense, more than just trusting that the numbers in a database actually add up. However, given that I think it's probably going to be a private permissioned blockchain, there is still the opportunity for the central bank to censor transactions. So the entities, the nation states, for example, who have cash reserves are going to own them, but that means that the reserves that they have cannot just be arbitrarily taken away from them by a central bank. However, I think that the central banks are going to retain the ability to prevent transactions. So in a sense, they can't seize the assets, but they can freeze them. So that's today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next video, which I think may be the final one. Bye for now.